It's KP&AC, our takes is like crazy. Hot takes on the daily, we might take your lady. This flow goes bananas, bananas got boatloads. Big time, we go hard like this promo.
Woo! AC, you spit that hot fire, man. Nice new intro. What's going on up there in Ohio?
What up from Ohio, baby?
Ohio.
In your face, sucker!
In your face, sucker.
I like that.
Yeah, we got the new sound effects. We got the intro. We're getting it going.
Mm-hmm.
We got the NFC Draft Grades today. You got anything you want to say before we hop into this?
Just overall, you know what? I didn't love the NFC's draft as much as the AFC's.
Sorry, I was cutting you off with the...
What was that?
I was just happy you didn't have anything to say.
Oh, I really didn't.
What were you saying about the grades?
I just overall didn't like NFC's draft as much as the AFC.
Oh, I'm with you on that. On that. We got a couple hot takes today.
Ooh,
You want to jump into the hot takes? You want to wait for the hot takes?
I want to hear all the hot takes.
All right, let's hear all the hot takes then. I'm going to go ahead and I'll start with mine, and we'll get into the breakdown here as we go through the teams. I got Green Bay and I got the New Orleans Saints, both at D's. Yeah, D's. You know what those D's stand for, right? Doo-doo. Doo-doo draft by these two squads. Just like the color of OBJ in our background. Doo-doo.
Doo-doo. You gave him a better grade than me. Well, at least Green Bay.
Yeah, you got that big F-bomb on Green Bay.
I did. Yeah,
that's what I got to say to them.
Let's get into it, man.
Get into it, man. We got Arizona, both at B's. We got on the left side of the screen their full draft breakdown, each player by round. We got Zaven Collins in the first round, Rondelle Moore, Marco Wilson. And, nobody really gives a shit about the rest of these guys. So
you're right.
Yeah. So what you got on those three guys?
Last year, I remember they took Isaiah Simmons. He doesn't seem like he's panning out really. So I like the Zaven Collins pick a lot. College football's defensive player of the year last year. I know they wanted to land one of them Alabama wide receivers if they slip. I heard some rumors that maybe there were some trades going on, but didn't seem to happen for him. But in the second, they come around, they get Rondelle Moore. I really like that pick. He seems to be a wide receiver that everybody seems to like. He's going to fit really good into that slot. They had a corner in the third. I think it was a solid draft for Arizona.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, we got him both at a B, so yeah, it was good. So I like the Zaven Collins pick. I read about him. He's supposed to be like really good in coverage too. So he's going to be a big help for them. Isaiah Simmons, like you mentioned, he doesn't look like he panned out at the beginning of last year. The second half of the year, I think he finally started to get in the rotation and play a little better. So if he can play back at the safety spot and then Zaven Collins in front of him, I think that's a nice defense back there.
Be a good 1-2 punch if you can get it going.
The what?
Be a good 1-2 punch if they can get it going.
Yeah. They just need to get it going. Rondelle Moore from Purdue. I like the pick just because of where they got him. He could have went at the end of the first round, really. So the value is there. But, they already got Christian Kirk and Hopkins. Those are two good receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I know teams like to have three good ones, but, I just don't know if having a third receiver is more important than addressing some of the other needs that you have on the team. So that's the one part that I go back and forth with. Like last year's a perfect example with the Cowboys taking CeeDee Lamb. They're already stacked at receiver, and they take CeeDee Lamb, and that was because they thought maybe they weren't going to re-sign Amari Cooper, which makes a little bit of sense. But that high in the draft, you got so many other needs, especially Dallas's defense. I mean, we saw Nick Chubb and our boys run all over them for about 700 yards. So they had a lot of help. They needed a lot of help there last year. But so I go back and forth with that. I think he's going to be a good player, though. I think Rondelle Moore will be a good slot receiver. And then Marco Wilson in the fourth round, I think he'll be okay. He might get in their rotation, too. We'll go right to Atlanta here. You start off with Atlanta. Just break them down. We got Kyle Pitts first round, as we know. So what'd you see with Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Pitts is a big part of that B. You know, they get the best non-QB player in the draft. You pair him up with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. This offense could look scary. They shorted up with some nice defensive needs. Richie Grant, safety from Central Florida. Darrell Hall, he's cornerback from the Aztecs. The whole thing with the Falcons is like, we know they can score. They can score with anybody. The question is, can they stop anybody defensively? And that was their big thing last year. Like, they were just terrible defensively. And it's just one of those franchises like they haven't been the same since that Super Bowl. You know, they were up like 100 points going into the fourth, and the Patriots come back, tear them up, beat them. I don't think any of the players have been the same, you know. So I think this year's like a big year for them. Like, they gotta do something, or this team's gonna get tore apart, you know. And they're already in like cap trouble. So I gave them a B. You know, they picked up some decent players, but it's really just gonna depend on what that defense can do.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I agree with you on their defense. And, you know, with their first round pick, I would have went defense other than the fact that Kyle Pitts was there. No, other than the fact Kyle Pitts is there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if a guy like that isn't there, I definitely go defense. But I would have taken Pitts instantly, just like they did. I agreed with a lot of what the analysts were saying, you know, and he's supposed to be a different kind of dude. So, and then Grant's a good pick. I like the value they got in the third round with Jalen Mayfield from Michigan.
Yep.
I think that's real good value. And then Hall could get in the rotation. Some of these other guys late, they could too. So I gave him an A.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people giving them A's pluses, you know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. And then the next one, we both agreed here. We both got Carolina at a C. What'd you see here from Carolina? First round pick was J.C. Horn at 8, which kind of shocked some people. But what'd you see?
Yeah, it was shocking. Yeah, like you said, they take J.C. Horn. He's a good fit. Should help that secondary right away. They pick up Terrence Marshall from LSU. They pick up that tackle Brady Christensen, BYU. I would have been more enthused if they had just, you know, like probably went tackle earlier, help that offensive line. That's really, you know, I think Sam Darnold, he's had issues with protection, especially coming from the Jets. I think that's probably most important for him. So, you know, I don't love it, but I don't necessarily hate it. J.C. Horn, he's a good pickup. You know, unfortunately, I still think they're going to finish probably dead last in that division, or tied for dead last. I think the Saints and them will be battling for that. So, but yeah, Carolina C.
Yeah, I'm with that too. Yeah, I definitely think they're finishing last with you know, interception Darnold over there that got traded. And J.C. Horn is their first pick. I actually thought it was okay. I thought that was fine. Just because you need so many corners now. I mean, you know, 3 or 4 corners is almost necessary if you're trying to build a good defense. So I thought that pick was fine. The only issue that I had, and the reason I got from it a C, is I think that we talked about yesterday with the Broncos, is they could have jumped up and got a quarterback. I don't understand that, you know, it's like they're going to see what they got in Darnold. You know how I feel about the guy. I mean, but you know, we'll see what they got. And then the same thing in round 2 with Terrence Marshall from LSU. It's exactly what I talked about earlier with Rondelle Moore. You know, they lost Curtis Samuel, but they still have Robbie Anderson and they have DJ Moore, who are both good receivers. So you got 2 good receivers there. It's not really that big of a need, you know. So I would have went. I agree with you. I would have went offensive line there. I would have tried to help out the defense more in that second round. I even might have just took a quarterback. I might have just taken Justin Fields at 8.
You're right. I mean, obviously they are hopeful on Darnold, and you know, there's always next year.
Right. And that's what they're doing. They'll give them 1 full year, see what they have, and see what happens. See if that was a Jets thing or if it's a Darnold thing. And you know I hear a lot of people go back and forth with it. I see more people say that it was a Jets thing, and that I'm in the minority saying that he's absolute doo-doo. Flush this guy down the toilet. You know
down the toilet.
You need
to wipe your ass after that, man.
I'm just not down with the guy.
That's a good
I
take
watched
from
him
you.
enough,
I like it.
man. Watch him enough. But I think they're round 5 too. Davion Nixon is another guy who I think slipped a lot. I thought he was supposed to go. I heard about his name going. I think originally he was higher on draft boards before the later mock drafts, but so I think that pick was okay too. But I gave him a C. Like I said, it's okay because I'm not horribly mad at the J.C. Horn pick because I think he's going to be really good. But it kind of goes yesterday with the same exact thing with the Broncos. They took Surtain. I would have taken quarterback, So that's where we're at there. Both got him at C's. And then Chicago Bears here. We both got an A. It's pretty easy to figure that out with us. Justin Fields, we both think is going to be a NFL star. At least, I do. I'm pretty sure you do as well because I know you had him higher than Zach Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You're not mistaken.
Man, all right. So yeah, and then the second round, I like the Tevin Jenkins pickup. I mean, that was who I thought they might go in the first round. And again, we talked yesterday. I don't think that trade was that crazy. I mean, they gave up a first next year and just a couple late round picks to move back, and they end up getting a franchise quarterback. Compare that to what the 49ers had to give up. Well, they gave up like 2 first round picks and a third and, their first this year to move back. So, or to move up. So yeah, it's, I think their trade was much better than what the 49ers did. So I thought they hit this good. They got another offensive tackle in the 5th round. And then, you got a couple late round guys that probably nobody's ever heard of. And we'll just, you take flyers on. So.
Right. Yeah. And that's really why I gave the Bears the A. It's just Justin Fields. I mean, he slides down. They trade up to 11 to take him. Franchise QB, hopefully for the next 15 years, that alone, that just gives him a high grade. And like you were saying, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma State, Tevin Jenkins, he was one of those guys that was, thought maybe he'd go in the first. I really like him, and I just think this Bears team, they're probably not going to be good next year, but they're moving in the right direction. They got some good pieces, and I like it.
The only thing I'll say is just don't throw Andy Dalton out there to start the year. Just let Fields play. I don't want to see them throw out this.
We'll see what happens with Dalton. Okay,
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Dalton's another one of those guys. That's how I feel about Dalton too. Flush this dude down the toilet. You know what I'm saying?
Dalton had
his chance.
A decent couple years, fantasy wise, anyways. He was never like the worst quarterback, but yeah, he's a second string quarterback in the NFL. That's what he was meant to be.
He's in the category to me with Teddy Bridgewater and all these other just average quarterbacks that aren't ever going to be Drew Lock, like those type of guys. They're never going to be your franchise quarterback. So why are you wasting your time with them? And the Bears have done this enough. They got Nick Foles, who didn't work out. They had Mike Glennon. They signed the 1 year. I mean, it's just, you try to bring in all these backups. It just don't work. That's why I really commend them for moving up and getting Fields. I believe that's going to be a really good pick for them. And he should be there for a number of years. So
I agree. They had to do it.
Yeah, we both got them at A's.
Yes!
The Bears. So yeah, and then the next one we got the Cowboys here. We're a little bit different here, but not too far off. I got them at a B. You got them at an A. I didn't really love I like Micah Parsons as a player. I just think that I'm surprised that he would go to the Cowboys. They already got a couple linebackers there with Van Der Esch, and they still have Jalen Smith. So they already got some linebackers. I just think what they thought here was he was the best player in the draft at that position. And I probably agree with that. So if that's what you're thinking, that's fine. But again, they just had a lot of needs. I think it just shocked them that, Surtain and Horn went before them. I don't think they were expecting that at all. So,
they weren't. No, you're right.
Yeah. And then you got the corner in the 2nd round, Kelvin Joseph from Kentucky. We'll see how he is. And then, you got a defensive lineman, some edge guys, another corner later. So I think they did good. I mean, I think they did good for the circumstances. I like that they traded back after they realized those 2 corners were gone. I'm glad they traded back. There was no reason to stay where they were. So, I give them a B.
Yeah, I get it. No, and that's where I think they found some value with that trade back. You're right. They wanted those two corners. That seemed pretty evident, but they trade back. They get maybe the best defensive, player coming out of the draft, and Micah Parsons. Like you were saying, the quarterback, Kelvin Johnson, the defensive end from UCLA. And I just like their first 6 picks, I believe, were all defensive players. And like that's another team where we know that offense is going to be studly. Defense is really their big issue. So if 3 or 4 of those guys really pan out, then you're going to have a solid team. They can score points and keep the other team from scoring points. Yeah. I like the Cowboys. They're gonna be right there with Washington and the Giants. They're all going to be fighting for that spot. I don't think the NFC East is going to be nearly as terrible next year, and I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was good that they went 6 picks, their first 6 picks defense, because their offense is explosive. They got Dak coming back. We all know that. So it was good to address the defense. And they don't get their corner at number 12, but they got a guy in the second round. How about, I got a question for you. Would have you considered taking either the other corners that high at 12 with Newsome and the guy from Virginia Tech, Caleb Farley?
I probably wouldn't have. They probably just didn't have Newsome ranked is high, and then Farley with his injury, concerns. I loved what they did with taking Micah Parsons there, middle of that defense. So I would have done the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I think they got the best player available there too at 12, so I think that makes sense for them to take him. And then we got the Lions here. I got them in a B. You got them in an A. What'd you see with the Lions?
I got the Lions with an A. I don't think this team's going to be great. Like, we both know that. So I like that they didn't try to like reinvent the wheel. They didn't get all gimmicky. They went out, they built the trenches with their first 3 picks. I love the Penei Sewell pick. Going to give Goff a little more time in the pocket. I like that cornerback from Syracuse. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but yeah, I think they did good. It's like a blue collar town, blue collar draft. I think the Lions, I think they did as good as they could have in this draft. We'll see what Goff brings to the table. I don't think he's probably going to be like that long-term starter there. Probably another dude in the league who just ends up being a backup at some point. But I like the Lions A.
Yeah. I gave them a B, and I probably would have went A, other than the fact that they don't address the receiver position until round 4. Let me ask you that. Can you name a receiver on the Lions team right now other than this rookie?
Ask that question one more time. Sorry, Shefty was texting me.
Oh, that's no problem. So can you even name a receiver on the Lions team right now?
No, you get rid of Galladay, you get rid of Jones. I don't know who's even out there anymore.
Yeah, that was the one position I thought they should have addressed a lot higher here. But I think also the first 2 picks, they got really good value. Penei Sewell there at 7. Again, that might have been a guy that they didn't even think was there, was going to be there. So they probably were going to go receiver, and then they saw him sitting there, and he's the best offensive lineman in the draft. So took him. Right. Same at 41, That's why I gave him the B. I would have went A, like I said, if they just would have addressed the receiver, maybe going receiver in that beginning of the 3rd round there, or middle of the 3rd. That would have made more sense for me because, I don't know who they're going to be throwing the ball to. So
yeah, they picked up that Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's out of USC. I don't know much about him. Pick number 112.
Yeah, I saw that, but it's like with them bringing Goff over, you got to have Goff. You got to get Goff some weapons. So we'll see what happens. So, you got to protect them too. So Penei Sewell is the right pick. I think it's 7. I just would have addressed the receiver a little bit earlier. So, but yeah, still not a bad draft at all for them. I got them at the B. So, and then here we go on to doo-doo for me and F for you. Green Bay Packers. You want that? Give them that F, man. Let me hear what you got. Hold on. Give them that F.
Yeah, so I was just talking to my buddy about this earlier today, and I said, look, the only way that the Packers could have made this even a halfway decent draft is if the GM publicly got on his knees and gave Aaron Rodgers oral on national television. You know, it comes out like the day of the draft, Rodgers isn't planning on coming back. And I'm like, this is like breaking news. Like, what the hell's going on down here in Green Bay, or up here, I should say. So then they come out, and round one, they take an overrated corner, Eric Stokes, you know, and I didn't have a first round grade on him. I'm not sure anybody did. The second, they take this Josh Myers. They take a wide receiver, third, who's I think decent, but like overall, I would have just gave the keys to the city to Aaron Rodgers and said, you know, like, you pick whoever you want. I would have done anything to keep this guy. And now it seems like there's too much turbulence there. I'm not sure what's going to come out of it. You know, like, Rodgers doesn't even talk to his parents anymore. You know what I mean? Like, this dude's more sensitive than your belly. Like, I'm not sure if he's ever going to like just want to play for Green Bay again. And that's a big thing. So really that's it for me. Like, you got to do what you can for Aaron Rodgers. I just think they lost. They lost last year when they took Love. They lost this year, and I think Green Bay is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, no, it's true what they say about Aaron Rodgers. He's super sensitive. He wants everything done his way. Everybody knows how arrogant the guy is. That's just his personality type, but he's the best quarterback in the league. I mean, you know, Tom Brady might say something about it, but right now,
Well, maybe third too. You can't forget about Mahomes, but you're right. Yeah,
of course, yeah, Mahomes is definitely up there too. But you know, with Aaron Rodgers, I still think that last year when they took Jordan Love was a massive mistake, and not even just towards Aaron Rodgers, just where they took him. They needed a lot of help at Green Bay last year. They go out and take the Jordan Love guy. They should have known how this was going to affect Aaron Rodgers, and they just didn't care at the time. So I get it from his perspective. I actually do. And there's a lot of stuff that behind the scenes that happened. Maybe you can ask Shefty over there, but I don't even know what's going on. You know, there a lot of us don't even know what's going on. So
right.
So I gave him the D. The only reason I gave him the D instead of the F was I do hear they reach for Stokes, but I hear he's decent. I think he'll be all right. I think he'll probably start for them. And then, you know, they address the offensive line with 2 picks, which I think they needed. But again, it was still doo-doo. I mean, it was still
Flush it down the toilet.
And you know what else? And that one too, you know.
Oh,
So
you might need to flush again after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we give them a big no. So yeah, not a good draft for them. They're kind of messing things up there. Their front office needs some help there. So anyway, we got them a D and an F. And we're on to the Los Angeles Rams. And I got them at a C-. You got them at a D. We're both really close here. I just don't think they really did much to really improve their team, you know. So I just said it was okay. You know,
What was the grade you gave him?
C-. So okay. I mean, it was on the negative end of average. So, you know, the receiver, again, same thing I talked about earlier. It's like that's what you address with your first pick. I mean, you already have, you know, you got Robert Woods, Cup. I mean, you already got some receivers there. I just don't know what they're trying to accomplish there. And then, you know, they bring it, they got Stafford. So they're probably thinking, you know, now that we have Stafford, we need him another weapon. And then they go defense here where, you know, Ernest Jones from South Carolina, I heard is a decent player. And then these other guys you don't really hear much about. And again, round 4, and you just kind of start taking flyers on guys. So we'll see what happens. You got
right. I was with you there. I was with you on the Rams. I gave them a D for the same reasons. Like, I still think they're a strong playoff team, but I felt that secondary was their biggest need, you know, their biggest weakness going to the draft. And, you know, they totally ignored that until like the 4th round. They didn't have a first, like you were saying, but they go in the 2nd round and pick up Tutu Atwell, you know, wide receiver. And they were already like pretty deep at wide receiver. So I'm with you. Like, I don't get that pick at all. And then, like, I know people were knocking like Devontae Smith for being like small and thin framed, you know, so that was the reason for some of his, you know, being the 3rd receiver off the board. But like this Oddball dude, he weighed 149. Like, this guy might die in his first game of the year, you know, like I just don't get that. I don't see the depth in their secondary, and I think that's going to be a big weakness for them.
Especially after giving us 2 of their starters.
Right. So I'm not sure what they're doing out there. I still like them as a team. I still think they're going to be good. I love the Stafford thing, but
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think the Stafford signing's huge. I think he's a big upgrade over Goff. I think that'll help them as well. But yeah, it's they had a lot of other needs that should have been addressed. And again, yeah, I'm at C minus. Sometimes I just always wonder what's going on in some of these front offices when people like you and I are seeing these, given these grades. What are they thinking? They got 10 guys in there evaluating talent, and a couple guys can't come forward and just say we don't need to do this here. I think what it comes down to is there's always going to be 1 or 2 guys in NFL organizations at the top that are going to be making the decisions, and no matter what information they're given, you could have 3 or 4 guys tell you we don't need a receiver here. Well, it's somebody like Jerry Jones last year with CeeDee Lamb. Like, he probably made that decision for them. It's like, doesn't matter what everybody else is saying. So
yeah, maybe, I don't know. That's why you got analytics and you got all these.
Yeah, exactly. Analytics have really changed the way people look at the game of football, basketball, all these sports. But yeah, so moving on here, Minnesota. What'd you see with Minnesota? You got them at a B. I got them at a C.
Yeah, I gave him a B. So they end up trading down. I still think they got really good value with Christian Darrisaw at 23. I know you had him, I think, is your second tackle off the board.
Yeah.
Pre-draft. So I think they found a good value there. And then I believed, who was that? Oh, Kellen Mond. Was he the second pick?
He was their second pick. Yeah. Round 3.
Yeah. So I didn't love that pick as much. The whole, I don't know. I know people don't love Kirk Cousins, but I think he's a baller. He's not ever going to be like a top 5 quarterback, but I thought maybe, you could have built around him, maybe got him another weapon, maybe got him another lineman, so I'm not sure if I love that, but I like what they did with rounds 3 because they had 3 picks. They took a linebacker from North Carolina, a guard, Wyatt Davis from Ohio State, and then a defensive back or defensive end. And I think all 3 of those dudes could start. So I think they come out of this with at least 4 starters, in those first 3 rounds. And you can't complain with that. We'll see about Kellen Mond. If he ends up developing into something special, then obviously they hit a home run here. That's the only thing that I didn't love, and the only reason I didn't give him an A.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I was going to jump in there, but I wanted to let you finish. That was the reason I actually went C, is because I just think that they should be looking to build around Kirk Cousins. I think he's in one of those tiers above Andy Dalton, Teddy Bridgewater, and those guys. He's like a tier just above them. He's not up in the elite tiers, with Rodgers and Mahomes and all those guys.
He's in the middle tier.
Yeah, he's in the middle, and he's still got a lot of football left. So I think you just build around him, get him some help. They could have probably used. They probably could have used I think they could use a tight end. I know I think it's Irv Smith, their younger tight end, but they got real good value in the first round. I like Darrisaw, and then kind of just fell off from there. I didn't really like the Mond pick, obviously, but I do like the Wyatt Davis again, and I like the edge rusher. And then they took a backup for Dalvin Cook in round 4. So it was okay. I didn't see anything that really I liked that much. And then, like I said, the only thing I disliked was the quarterback pick there. And we'll see what happens with him. If he ends up being a good player, then I'm completely wrong. But I would have built around Kirk Cousins. So
right, you're right. And I think they had 11 picks, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, they did. They did have a lot of picks. So yeah, so we had them. I had them C. You had them B. So nothing special, but nothing too horrible either. Nothing too horrible. On to the Saints here, and this is both of our flush these dudes down the toilet with their doo-doo draft,
Mm-hmm.
So we both got them at D's here. What'd you see? I mean, or what didn't you see? I guess I should say.
I didn't see anything to get excited about. They took this defensive end Peyton Turner, who I felt was a reach. I thought their best pick, honestly, was Pete Werner, the linebacker from Ohio State. But even him, I'm not like super excited about. Like their first 3 picks were dedicated to defense, and which is fine. But I'm not sure like they just got great value. It's obviously a team like in transition. And I know they played great last year without Drew Brees. Like they kept winning games. I just don't think it's going to be the same this year. I think defenses are going to like hone in on kind of what they did last year. And I think just Brees leaving the building, like that's a lot, like I think like just internally in that team, like they all kind of realize like this isn't going to be the year. I don't know. Like my hot take was I think them and the Panthers are just dead last in that division. I actually think they probably just both win like 6 games. That's what I'm giving them. So that was the big thing for me. Saints D.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really see anything at all that jumped out to me as well. I didn't hear anything about the Peyton Turner guy. I don't know. I don't think anybody had him as a first round grade. And then, Warner from Ohio State, they say he's got a lot of question marks, and that's a round 2 pick. So I just think there was a lot of other ways they could have went. They do address the corner, in the round 3, but again, we don't really know much about him. There's a good chance they might lose Marshawn Lattimore, so we don't really know what's going on with him. So they could have addressed corner. They lost Janoris Jenkins. So there was a lot of different ways they could have went. So I didn't really see anything to really help out this team at all. And I'm trying to figure out. So do you think Winston or Taysom Hill is going to be running the show?
I think honestly they might just use them both.
Right.
I think I think Sean Payton's kind of like just one of those dudes who he's a smart guy, and I think he's going to outsmart himself this year. I think they're definitely going to be looking for another quarterback next year.
Yeah. I think that'll be the case as well. We'll kind of see how Taysom Hill showed some flashes that he could be good, but I don't think Jameis Winston's going to be the answer. So
yeah, I mean honestly, I'm with you on that. I think if they want to win games, probably Hill is the way to go. Because he's going to be a running quarterback. So you can set your offense up almost like Baltimore. And you got another guy out there who isn't a great thrower of the ball, but they keep winning. So maybe.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, they need to address their defense, and I know they tried to here, but maybe out of those 3 guys, maybe one is a starter. So I just if they get 2 out of those 3 guys as starters, I would probably change my grade out of a D. But I don't know if we will, but we'll see.
Yeah, I know they did take Ian Book, right, from Notre Dame.
They did, yeah.
He's kind of like a developmental. Like we'll see about him. He's probably not going to pan out though.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. They just probably took a flyer and just going to see what they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4th round. Yeah, and then we got the Giants here. I got them at a C. You got them at a B. What do you got here? What you see?
So like I gave them a B. The Giants were last in the league last year in receiving touchdowns, and I think a lot of that was injury, obviously, to that wide receiving court. Barkley going down was big. That just kind of put a damper on the whole offense. But I loved them going out and getting Galladay. You and I talked about that. That was a big free agency signing. They take Kadarius Toney, who I wasn't that familiar with, but I've been hearing like a lot of people love him. I know a few teams were hoping to get him. He was out of Florida, so I like that pick there. I think they are kind of hoping that Devontae Smith or one of those players would fall to him, but the Eagles traded up, grabbed him, and I thought that was a great move by them. But yeah, and then in the second round they get Azeez Ojulari in the second. You and I both viewed him pretty highly. We had him in the first, I think. They need some offensive line help. So I'm not sure they tackled that as hardly as they could have, but I like what they did there between free agency and the draft. I think they're going to be a lot improved. So we'll see. But I like the Giants this year. B. I think they're going to contend.
Yeah, so I had him at a C. I thought it was all right. I really liked the second round Azeez Ojulari pick for Georgia. I think he's a good player. I think that's great value there. He had a lot of first round grades from people we read about and talked to. And then you got round 1. So this is why I went C. Is I'm not big on this pick here in the first round. He might end up being all right. It just goes back to what I said earlier a couple times with teams. I mean, they're already deep at receiver. This team's even deeper than the other teams we talked about before. They have Galladay, they got Shepard, and they got Darius Slayton. I know Shepard gets banged up a lot, but you already got 2 good receivers there with Slayton and Galladay now. So, and they still have Shepard. And I would have, that high in the draft, I would have went with some more value. Offensive line I would have went with, and also too what I would have tried to do, because they did trade back, but it was almost like I thought Micah Parsons, and I know he was in the mock draft I had them taken. I thought would have been a perfect fit for them. They need like a linebacker out there flying around to help them out on the defense. So that was the one reason that I thought that they had about an average draft. So
yeah, well, and they were part of that trade down with the Bears, and so they picked up a first and a fourth. So I like that. That was good. That was great value. So
that's a good point.
You're right. Tony probably wasn't their wasn't their biggest need, but like I said, a lot of people liked him. So,
and you're definitely right about that, and I agree with you that they definitely did get good value to move back, get another first. I just wouldn't have addressed the receiver right there. That would have been something that I would have addressed later in the draft if that's the way you wanted to go. So, gave him a C. It was average. Again, I like the second round pick, and some of these other guys might be okay as well. So
fair take.
All right. And then we're on to the Eagles here, and B- and an A. So I went B- here. I went a little bit lower than you did. I like Devontae Smith. I really like that was the pick that I really liked. And then after that, they addressed some needs, I guess. But again, I think there was better value at some of these other picks. But again, it wasn't bad. It was good. Like Dickerson should be okay from Alabama. Williams from Louisiana Tech, the defensive lineman. Again, these guys to me are all, they're all right. So I think they did okay.
Okay. Yeah, I gave him an A, and really most of that was just the move up to steal Devontae Smith, who was my favorite wide receiver coming out of this draft.
And they really needed a receiver. That was probably their biggest need.
Yeah. And I'm really not sure how they feel about Hurts internally. I'm not even sure how I feel about him, but I like the idea that they go out, they get him a weapon, and then they get somebody to protect them, and Landon Dickerson, who was pretty highly ranked. I had a first round grade on him. So if the Eagles can remain healthy, I like their team. I don't think they're going to compete. I think they're probably still going to be at the bottom of the NFC East next year. I just think those other 3 teams are just going to be too improved, especially Washington with that defense. I just think that defense is going to be so nasty. And then, Dallas, you got Dak back. I think the Giants are on the right track. So, unfortunately, I think the Eagles probably are last in that division next year, but I still like what they did in the draft.
Yeah, I think the Devontae Smith pick, as we both mentioned a couple of times, we both had him as our number 1 receiver, and I think that's a huge need for them, and that'll help Jalen Hurts. And again, a lot of times that you don't get longer than a year or two a quarterback in the league, so we'll see what Jalen Hurts does this year. So, get him some weapons, get him some protection, and then he has no excuses. So then we're on to the Niners here, and I gave him a B, you gave him an A. What's up with that A?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be nice. So it would have been a C or D had they gone Mac Jones. But nice with Garoppolo in place, there's no reason why they would have went with Jones. Looking back on that, it just seems silly. I think Jones probably was their guy for a while, but they kind of opened up their eyes to the idea of Trey Lance, and they picked him up. Lance is just his ceiling was too high, and with Garoppolo they're already in place. I think that's just the perfect setup. You can most likely, I think they will let Garoppolo start. We'll see how he does to begin the season. They can always bring in Lance, but I'd love to see Lance, sit at least half the season if they're winning. Obviously they had to give up a good deal to jump into that spot, but like my favorite saying is fortune favors the bold. This is a bold move, and I think it's going to pay off in the future. They get some offensive line help in a second with Aaron Banks. And then I like what they did at the running back, Trey Sermon. Like I remember last year, basically it seems like every year, like all their running backs are always hurt, but like whoever they have, like they could just take like some guy from the street, they plug him in and he like rushes for like 200 yards. So I think Sermon, if he's the starter, could have a big season. Most likely, they'll piggyback that and they'll have a few, in rotation. But I like that pick. So that's why I give San Francisco an A.
Yeah, to go back to the Sermon point too, is a lot of people had him number 1 on their board. So, as a running back, I did see that. So, but they just say he doesn't have the breakaway speed. That was the question marks I read about him. So, but again, I gave him the B. I think Trey Lance was the right pick. I think the guard from Notre Dame, Banks, is a good pick. I think Sermon's good value because in San Francisco, we know all they do is run the football. So that's fine there. And then they get a corner in the third, and then they get some other guys that really nobody knows. So, but again, I gave him the B instead of going with an A or B plus or A minus, going, a higher grade, just because they did give up a lot, and they gave up a lot not even knowing who they were really going after. It's like they changed their mind or something last minute. I do think that I do. You try to catch that football?
Yeah, I'm trying to intercept that from OBJ. Give me that.
Yeah, so I don't think that. I think that they tried to do that. I think that they moved up not even knowing what they really wanted to do. They just probably thought we want to get one of the quarterbacks, and that's fine if that's your strategy, but you don't even know which one, and you gave up 3 firsts to do it, so I don't know, just one of those things. I think Trey Lance will be fine. I don't know if they'll even let Jimmy G start though. I think they gave up so much. I think they might just have to throw Lance out there.
Jimmy G is gonna start, bro.
Oh no, man. I'll tell you what, if somebody would have given him a 2nd round pick, they would have traded him.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to give up that though. But, Trey Lance is more of a raw, situation, or I should say raw project. But again, it's,
we'll see how that schedule I think comes out next week. We'll see how that lines up,
Yeah.
Especially if you got some tough teams early on. Like I think Garoppolo gets that spot. So, and also like you're hoping that he just plays out and then he has some, increased trade value.
Right. Yeah. All right. On to Seattle here. So they only had a couple picks. They only had, it looks like 3 total picks, and I had to go down and make sure. Yeah. So they had the 2nd round pick here. Why their draft is so small is because they had to get Jamal Adams. So from the Jets. They gave up a load to get him. So they have they address the receiver position in the 2nd round. Well, first off, I got him at a C. You got him at a D. I'm probably with you. I mean, my grade could have been a D because, again, why would you go receiver here when you got DK and Tyler Lockett? You got a lot of other needs. Get some other help on the defense.
Yeah, we both agree. I think you're on like that McKinley grading scale, like just varies.
Who, me?
Yeah, like I never got that. Like, like if you got a 90 over here in Kansas City, then you got an A, and I over here with a 92, I get a B, bro. It's not right.
That's true. Yeah, a couple points off. No, we're real close in this. And now that I'm looking at it too, it's like I'm just thinking about their receiver core is already fine. Like what? So I don't think Seattle did themselves anything great here, but I did hear that the corner is a decent player. I think that's why I had them at a C. But I'm thinking it's probably maybe should have went D because I'm not really down with this round. I'm really not down with this wide receiver pick in round 2.
Yeah, D for doo-doo, bro, right here, right now. So, and that was a big thing. Like Seattle's got 3 picks, and I understand like the Jamal Adams trade. Like it is what it is, but I didn't like Dwayne Eskridge, the wide receiver. Like, this is another one. Like, what are you doing? You know, you got two really good wide receivers out there, Metcalf and Lockett. You know, like, so I don't get the value in taking a third guy here. And honestly, like, I feel like this is another team that like is going to finish probably last place in the NFC South. I don't know if that's even a hot take. Like, just the Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, they're all better teams, I think, top to bottom. Especially if the 49ers can get it going with Lance. But I think Garoppolo is going to fit into that situation. I don't know. I don't love it. I didn't love any of their draft picks. And honestly, like, two of them I never even heard of before, which is no big deal. But I don't love Seattle this year, you know. And then you had like it seemed like that you had some like relationship issues with Russell Wilson there, and there was some like talk of maybe, you know, trading him. And I just don't love what's going on out in Seattle.
Have you given up all that they gave up for Jamal Adams?
No.
Yeah, they gave up a lot for him. A couple firsts, a couple other picks too.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm not giving up. Yeah, unless it's a quarterback, I'm just not giving up that kind of draft capital.
Yeah, I remember at the time the Browns were weak at safety, and I was talking to a friend, and I was saying, you know, maybe we should give up maybe like a first and a third, which I would do because he's that good, but a first and a third, and that's it though. Like, if they wanted two firsts, I said no way I would give up two firsts for a, you know, a DB. So
Yeah, you're right. No way, Jose.
no way, Jose. So on to the last two teams here, and then we'll just do an overall breakdown. We got the Tampa Bay Bucks. We both got them at C's. I didn't see much I liked. At all, bro.
I'm with you.
Joe Tryon, Kyle Trask. I don't know. Like, yeah, I know they need to replace Tom Brady. Eventually, yeah. He's got another year or two. I mean, but again, it's like to their point of drafting him here, it's like, I want to say, like, yeah, you need to get a quarterback that you're drafting higher in a draft, but the Bucks are not going to be drafting very high over the next couple of years. You know, they're going to be finishing at the top. So
yeah,
you know,
honestly, like, I'm with you on the C. They would have been better off just trading all their picks. Like, they really could have drafted me, you know, with their first pick and
what
been
position,
fine.
bro?
Like, dude, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like,
O-line.
Yeah, seriously, like, you're right with the Joe Tryon kid. Like, I don't even know where he came from. Like, I honestly, like, I don't think he'll even start. I don't think they drafted one player that starts for him.
Yeah.
And that's not really like, that's not Tampa Bay's fault. Like, Tampa Bay's just really deep. They're that good. Like, all their starters from, you know, last year, you're just going to start again. And, you know, the people they picked up in free agency are going to start over these guys. So I don't know. Tampa Bay, they just didn't do anything special, but I think part of that is just being the champs and having all the good players.
Right. Yeah, and it goes back to them re-signing AB was another reason before they signed him that I was going to have. I had Rondelle Moore here going at the end originally.
And I like that pick.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like I said earlier, I don't usually agree with doing that, right? If you already have two good receivers, like, I wouldn't reach into a first round or take all these guys in the first round. But when you're the Bucks and you already have every position taken care of, that's just you lost AB. You know, you need a slot corner because you need a slot receiver because all your other guys are gone. That's who I would have taken there. I thought that he would have fit in good with them, but it's, you know, they re-signed AB, so they were able to go and do whatever they wanted. I mean, that's just, I agree with you though about, I don't think there's a starter on their team. Maybe this edge guy, he'll probably be a rotation guy with Shaq Barrett, but they still have Jason Pierre-Paul, you know, so this guy will probably just come in on a rotational basis with those guys. So Kyle Trask, I don't know. I don't know about Kyle Trask. You hear okay things about him, but he'll probably be like I would say his best. I would say at his best, he's a Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's his ceiling to me.
I like that. And well, and he I mean, that's just a perfect situation for him. Like he goes to Tampa Bay, NFL champs. You know, he gets to sit behind Brady for a year or 10. I don't know when Brady's going to retire, but like
Yeah.
he's got the coach in place. Like that's a good organization. So I like his future. You know, and even if he's not, you know, going to set the world on fire, I think that's a good pick for them.
Yeah, again, they didn't really have anything to lose. You know, that's one of those teams. They could take whatever they wanted, and they probably thought he was the best player available there for that value. So.
Right.
So yeah, all right. Last team here. I got Washington at an A. You got them at a B. Break down your B, and then I'll give you their A.
All right. So I secretly like this team a lot this year. They already had a great defense last year, and then they go pick up Jamin Davis, Benjamin St. Juste. And I just think, like, honestly, this could be the best defense in the NFL. Like, I would not be surprised by that at all. They didn't tackle like offensively, you know, is as hard as they could have, but you know, you're going to pick one or the other. I kind of like just making that defense more beastly than it was. And then offensively, you know, like you got Fitzmagic. So like, you don't know what that dude's going to do. Like some games he looks like the greatest quarterback ever. Some games he looks like the worst. And you're hoping for, you know, the better side of Fitzmagic. And, you know, I think if that team can get to the playoffs, which I think is a possibility just based on their defense, then I think that's a very dangerous team.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I hit them with an A because I think their first 4 picks are probably as good as anybody in the entire draft. I mean, out of all the teams, because I like Jamin Davis a lot. I like
That was a hot take. That was a hot take, dude, because you got Miami in there, Cleveland.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They're up there with those teams. Those first 4 picks. And then their 3rd round receiver that they took, Brown out of North Carolina, you know, he's supposed to be good. They had him at a little bit higher grade than that. So that was great value. Offensive tackle is addressed. I think the corner will be good for Minnesota. And Jamin Davis, I think, is a beast. We also heard about the heart issue with Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa with us, right? That was the reason he slipped, because this is where we had him going about 19. And so they ended up going with Jamin Davis, who was climbing up draft boards as it got closer to the draft. But yeah, I think they hit everything. The only thing that I would change for them, would have been quarterback. But the thing was, the reason I don't blame them is because I don't think they had any spots to really do it, unless they would have had to move up from 19 to 9, give up a bunch of stuff to try to get Justin Fields. And, you know, they didn't feel that this was the time to do it. And, you know, I respect that. And again, you just flip a coin with Fitzmagic and see what happens. So we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, I thought overall they had a really good draft. And I agree with you about their defense. I think their defense would be good, but Dwayne Haskins, I will tell you, is not the guy.
He's not the guy. He's not.
Well,
and that's why they got Fitz out there.
Right. People might want to say that we're all on Ohio State because we're Ohio State fans with Justin Fields. Well, no, we're both sitting here telling you that Dwayne Haskins, doo-doo.
Well, and that's part of the reason I think Fields maybe you know slipped a little bit, because I think they make that comparison, you know, like.
I agree with you. He does get that rap. Yeah, he gets that rap with.
He might be getting a Haskins rap, and I don't think he deserves it.
Yeah, he's getting that, and it's kind of what you said earlier. Like, we produce really good running backs. It's just we haven't produced really good quarterbacks. That's all. That's all there is to it.
Only takes one, though, bro.
All it takes is one. Yeah.
Hot take.
Hot take. All right, so let's just break down everything. We still got a couple minutes here. Anything else to discuss draft wise? We can actually talk about too some of the other stuff we're going to be doing on the upcoming shows. We're going to be having some pop culture going. We're going to start talking some fight game, get some guests on. Anything you want to address about that?
I think soon we'll have a kind of like position wise is where we think teams end up. You know, that's something I look forward to, because there's so many variables. So that's one thing. It's kind of like these drafts. It just make you look stupid in 10 years. You're like, oh, you like this guy, or oh, you like this team. Yeah. So that's something I'm excited to get into. But yeah, we're gonna shake it up. We're not just gonna be talking football here. We'll see how Friday goes. I think we'll have a guest. So Got a few people lined up.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to start turning into a little bit more than just NFL stuff. And, we will definitely give our predictions for the season with the NFL, where teams we think will finish. And we'll definitely do all that.
I did just see the Cavs were eliminated from the playoffs or playoff contention. So
that doesn't surprise me. I mean,
no, they're doo-doo.
Yeah, they're trash. They got a couple years still. They still need to get about 2 or 3 guys in there to help out Colin Sexton and also Darius Garland. So it'll be a couple years though before they're contenders. So
I feel like Kevin Love's just basically like he's just playing out his contract. He don't give a shit. I don't see any heart in this guy. And I love Kevin Love. Like I'm a big fan of his, but at this point, man, just cut him or trade him.
Yeah, I think that's what he wants to. He's ready to get to a contender. He doesn't want to mess around with these youngsters anymore,
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we'll definitely have to have a guest on to talk about the fight game. We want to talk about the Logan Paul and Mayweather fight. We're definitely going to be talking about that. Talk about how these Paul brothers taking over the fight game. These 2 blonde dudes. They're straight marketing geniuses, though. Really.
They are, dude. Where YouTube is where it's at.
Yeah.
That's just taking over the world.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. And if anybody ever has anything they'd like to talk about, make sure you leave it in the comments on the YouTube page. I mean, we'll address the comments. The podcast is new, so any ideas we're open to, and we're open to debating and discussing. So right now it was draft time, so we had to hit up the draft, and with us being sports guys, we'll definitely do that.
Yep. And if anybody is still listening to this podcast, I thank you.
Of course. Thank you. All right. Well, and now we'll just allow everybody to listen to A Sizzle. He's going to take us out with his song, and we want you guys to enjoy. Here it is.
It's KP&AC, our takes is like crazy. Hot takes on the daily, we might take your lady. This flow goes bananas, bananas got boatloads. Big time, we go hard like this promo. Karate kick, I'm Jet Li, one hand on that jet ski. Ice cold like Pepsi, you damn right we sexy. Opinions with no pity, in our bag with so many. Smart and so witty, got the swag of the city. Sports talk that talk. Best check your wall clock. We on time, every time. Got it all like Walmart. Oh shit, we might blow. Don't you know it's time to go? KP&AC, welcome to our show.